My Tesla won't supercharge. Does Tesla Supercharger not work in super low negative temperatures? Could I tell if the superchargers were out of service from the Tesla map? Will I get stranded as the superchargers aren't working? Will I need Tesla roadside assistance to come rescue me for my dead battery? And lastly, how can this issue be fixed? These are all the questions that will pop up in your mind and put you in a state of panic as you run close to 0% battery. And it definitely does not help when the temperature is close to minus 30 degrees Celsius and your Tesla is using twice the battery as it needs to heat up the cabin. Fortunately for me, it was a little bit warmer as I shot for this video with temperatures near to minus 30 degrees Celsius instead of minus 40. Make sure to stick around until the end of this video so you'll have all the answers to not go into panic mode when this happens to you. Winnipeg is one of the most coldest cities in Canada. This is what the average weekly forecast looks like mid-January in Winnipeg. Fortunately for me, the temperature wasn't as bad as 40 degrees Celsius today. It's still bad, but not as bad as minus 40 degrees Celsius. We all know that electric cars, especially my 2020 Tesla Model 3 without the heat pump, does not do very well in the winter in terms of battery consumption. So my Tesla was using twice the energy that it usually used to keep the battery warm and also the cabin heated. So I reached the supercharger with barely 11% left in my battery. I would have a little bit more left, but the car decided to keep a little bit of the battery on reserve to keep the battery heater running. This blue bar that you see here is what the Tesla is keeping on reserve to heat the battery. As soon as I put the car in park, Tesla immediately popped out a cautionary message to charge the car immediately as less energy will be available as it gets colder. So I wore my gloves and got out to plug in the Tesla Supercharger. Everything looked like it was in order. I plugged in the Tesla Supercharger and the blue flashing Tesla logo went from blue to green, which meant the Tesla was taking in charge. I got inside the car and I checked how much the Tesla was pulling in from the supercharger, and it was pulling nothing, as you can see on the screen here. This is what a normal Tesla supercharging session looks like. You can see how fast the Tesla Supercharger is charging your car and also how much charge you have gained from the supercharger. In this video, I'll tell you guys all the things that I wish I knew so that you can be better prepared for a scenario like this. I waited in the car for a minute or two to see if the Tesla Supercharger would give me a little bit of energy to survive. But I quickly got restless as the Tesla was using more energy than it was taking in from the Tesla Supercharger. So I got out of the car, unplugged the Tesla Supercharger so that I could try my luck on the other superchargers. Plug number 2 would not even start charging my car. I unplugged it, blew on it, and then plugged it again. But the Tesla Supercharger would not start. Now plug number 3, same as the plug number 1, I plugged it in and the Tesla logo turned green, which means that the Tesla is charging and taking in charge from the supercharger. So I got inside my car to see what was actually happening. Same as plug 1, no charge. I waited in the car for a minute or two to see if the Tesla Supercharger would start working. But there was absolutely no sign of the Tesla Supercharger working and I was running out of charge. So I got restless again and unplugged the third supercharger, and I wanted to see and try my luck on the last supercharger to see if it was actually working. I plugged in the last supercharger and it was making weird noises like this. So I unplugged the supercharger, blew in the supercharger and also the charging port to see if it would work. Still no luck, and the Tesla Supercharger is making that sound that it makes when you connect a Tesla Supercharger and it's about to charge and when you kind of want to disconnect it. So I feel like there was something wrong with this plug as well. I kept trying the supercharger, opened it, blew on it multiple times and plugged it in, would not start working. So I backed up to try out another supercharger. Same with this supercharger, I plugged it in and it had the same error as the previous one and it would not work, so I unplugged it. I blew on it again and it still would not work. So I got in my car and I didn't know what to do. I knew I had to think fast or I would have a dead battery with no heat to keep me warm. At this point, I thought the most rational thing would be to call Tesla roadside assistance or like the Tesla service. So I took out my phone and I was in so much panic that I opened the calculator instead of the phone keypad. And you'll see that there's a number here. And I was just noting it down on my phone and I was trying to call Tesla. This is how useless the call was.
For emergency roadside assistance, such as flat tires, lockouts, and non-drivable vehicles, press 1. For vehicle and charging support, press 2. For solar or back... You can find answers to frequently asked questions and more information, including premium connectivity and the latest software updates at tesla.com/support. For information on scheduling a service appointment, press 1. For your upcoming service appointment, press 2. For information on your car that is in service, press 3. For assistance with charging, finding a charger, or supercharging, press 4. For assistance... If you are calling to report an outage or issue at one of our superchargers, please know that we automatically detect these errors and are working to fix the problem. If that's all that you're calling about, please hang up now. Otherwise, please remain on the line. Tesla support offices are currently closed. Visit tesla.com/support to find answers to frequently asked questions or request help for your car within your Tesla account. After logging in, select the car's Manage button. Goodbye.
So that's all the help that I got from Tesla. It was a Sunday, so I understand why they were closed. But I was very quickly running out of battery and I didn't know who else to call. And at this point, I was almost giving up. But I remembered there was a Tesla level 2 destination charger that I can get to with 10% charge remaining as my last resort. I was checking in to see if this supercharger was giving me any charge. Still no luck, 0 kilowatts, no charge coming out of the supercharger. So I just unplugged it and tried for the very last supercharger that I have not tried yet. So my last supercharger, I plugged it in. Absolutely no problems with this one except for opening the charging port. And then I plugged it in, no problem. The light went green and then I got into the car as a last hope to see if the Tesla supercharger was working. So I waited in the car. This was the last supercharger and I waited as much as I could. I just didn't want to give up and I wanted to see how far I could go. So I just pulled up the energy consumption chart to get a realistic range that I can get to. So if you look at the consumption chart closely, there's like 24 kilometers left, but realistically in the winter, I would say just to be safe, I'd say I can go as far as 20 kilometers. So I was just waiting in the car for a little bit to see if the Tesla supercharger would start working. So after waiting a couple of minutes in the car, I was like, nope, this is not working. I need to unplug this. I need to unplug the supercharger and I need to get myself to the level 2 Tesla destination charger which might work. So I started my route towards the nearest Tesla destination charger, which was located in the Winnipeg airport, 10 kilometers away from the Tesla supercharger here in Winnipeg. So this is why I check the energy level chart and see what my projected range is instead of what I see here. So I'm supposed to be getting 300 kilometers, but with my driving habits like this and also on how cold it is not so cold today. I can go about 268 kilometers instead of 301 kilometers. So on a colder day, I'll be getting 21 kilometers of projected range instead of the 37 that you can see here. So with only 2% charge remaining and also circling the airport a couple of times because I could not find this spot because it's super hidden, I arrived at the level 2 Tesla destination charger. I plugged in my car and my car was finally charging. Now, after a lot of research and also personal experience, I later found out that the superchargers were in fact not broken. Initially, what I thought is that the Tesla superchargers would not work because it was so cold in Winnipeg, but I was totally wrong. Also, I thought that the Tesla superchargers would not work when your Tesla has a low battery, but I was quickly proven wrong as I went back to the Tesla supercharger with 50% charge and it still would not charge my car. The superchargers were okay and it was actually all my fault for the supercharger not working. So these are all the things that you guys need to do to never end up in a situation like this. Number 1, and the most important one, whenever you're going to the supercharger, always make sure to put the Tesla supercharger on your map. So even if you know your way to the Tesla supercharger and you don't really need the help of the GPS, still click here and put the Tesla supercharger on the map. What this will do is it'll start preconditioning your Tesla battery. So whenever you get to the supercharger, your battery is not as cold as it was at the beginning of the video. And you'll see that whenever you get to the supercharger, you don't have to wait a couple of minutes. It'll almost be instantaneous and your car is going to start charging. Another thing to note is that this needs to be around to close to 20% for it to start preconditioning your battery. If it's not, your Tesla is not going to start preconditioning just because it's going to try and run as efficiently as possible. So try and be above 20% so that your car starts preconditioning. So we've made it to the supercharger. My car has been preheating the battery for almost 18 minutes and you guys will see. Let me just pop on the so plug it in. The blue turns green, so it's charging. Alright, there you go. Even though it's like 33 kilowatt, it's not the best charge. Like, it can definitely go higher than this, but still, like, it's better than having 0 kilowatts when you get to the supercharger and wait an extra 5 minutes for it to heat up your battery. So I came back on a different day without preconditioning my Tesla, and I wanted to show you guys how it would look like. So I've already spent $1.46 in just kind of heating up the battery. It's 1:31 p.m. with minus 15 degrees Celsius. After spending $1.68 and 2 minutes later, it seems that the power, I'm starting to get a little bit of power from the supercharger. So 10 kilowatt, charging at 80 kilometers an hour. So nearly not fast enough yet. All right, so 1:35 p.m. and the charge rate is increasing, 180 kilometers an hour. Still not good enough, and it's supposed to increase even more. Another thing you'll notice when you look up top is the temperature went from minus 15 to minus 12, so it's getting warmer around the car. So whenever it's like supercharging, like it was minus 18 outside that day, so and the fuse light was minus 22, so it's always a little bit warmer around the car. 1:39 p.m. and the speed got better, so, and also it got warmer, so it's doing about 486 kilometers per hour now. So $3.57 spent, and it's getting warmer around the car. I'm sharing it with that Model Y, so it's usually 90 kilowatts, so right now I'm getting around 60 kilowatts. This is why you need to always precondition your battery. If you don't precondition your battery, it takes so long that a second Model Y is just backing up after the first Model Y that you guys saw finished charging. So almost 40 minutes down now. Charging is complete. In the summer, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes to supercharge, but in the winter, you can see the time difference is almost like 1 hour to charge from almost close to 0%. And it costs about $15.54, where in the summer, it would cost about $7 to $10 at most. Number 2, always precondition your car before you take the car out for supercharging. Go to the Tesla app and precondition your Tesla for a minimum of 10 minutes before you go out for supercharging. Preconditioning the Tesla helps to heat up the cabin so you'll have a cozy, warm car to get into, and also this in turn heats up the battery as well. Personally, I like to do 15 to 20 minutes of preconditioning as it loosens up the regenerative braking as well. One thing to note is when your battery life goes less than 20%, you can't precondition your car anymore because your Tesla forces itself into a battery saving mode that you can't really take out of. So make sure you have more than 20% to start preconditioning your car. This brings me to my third and last point: always plan out your supercharging. So if your primary means of charging is the superchargers, always plan it out. Right now I have 50%, but I won't really let this go below 30% just because if it goes below 30%, if it's close to 20%, I can't really precondition my car that well. And also if I put the superchargers on the map, the car won't really precondition just because it thinks that it can go farther if it doesn't use the battery heater as much. So always try and keep your car above 30%. One last bonus tip for you guys is that if your Tesla is saying that you can't make it, if you have low battery, what you can do is you can turn on the seat heaters to the max and then go to your climate controls and kind of turn off the AC and go as low as possible so that it kind of uses the air outside and doesn't use the heater a lot to heat up the cabin. So that would really save your battery. And also what you can do is you can also go a little bit slow in the road, as slow as traffic lets you go. So that would in turn give you a little bit extra range if your Tesla is telling you that you can't really make it to the supercharger. And that's all I had for this video. As always, if you guys got some value out of this video, smash that like button. It really helps out my channel. And also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell notification button to get notified when I upload a new video. Have a wonderful and powerful rest of the day. Goodbye.